Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another Marathon Wednesday. And today we have got one that I've been looking forward to and not looking forward to. One, I'm looking forward to it because I love the music, but it's the pronunciations of the titles of the songs, and because we're going to be looking at the Irish Folk Band Clannad, formed in 1970 in a little place called Weedore, which is in County Donegal, by siblings Kieran, Paul and Moya Brennan. They've also got a younger sister who we know as Enya, and their two uncles, Noel and Podrick Duggan. They started out as like an acoustic folk band, and then they rearranged Irish to Gaelic songs, expanded their sound with some English lyrics, electronic keyboards, Celtic New Age, smooth jazz and Gregorian chant. So we've got a right mixture. They were initially known as Clann or Dubar or Dubaha, which is an Irish for the name, Irish for family. They shortened it to Clannad, which was a lot easier on everyone else. Over the years they have released 16 albums, and sadly Podrick has passed away in 2016, and they split up and got back together. They regrouped, and they embarked on a farewell tour as a quartet. So they're no longer making music, but they have left some great albums. So today this is going to be interesting because if I get some of these wrong, I do apologise, because my Gaelic is not up to scratch, but the help of Dave, he has done some translations on words that I'm just not going to attempt at. So you'll get the English translation of some of the songs. So we'll get started. So coming in at number 16 is the 10th album, and this one is called Sirius, and it has guest artists on it, and it features Bruce Hornsby and Steve Perry and J.D. Southerner. So the first track on here is called, it's an English one, it's easy to say, In the Search of a Heart. It's quite good, even though this is an 18th album. It's got a nice sound to it. Okay, it's certainly got that 80s influence, but it's not a bad track. Second Nature comes on, a really good track. Some of the saxophone in it didn't quite work for me. It sort of takes away from that traditional Clannad sound. Turning Tide next. I'm not a fan of this one. It's got too much 80s production on it, and they just took it to I didn't want to go. Now I think I've got this. I think it's called Skellig. Nice vocal on here from Moya. Good, she's got a lovely voice. I do like that one. Then we got Stepping Stone. It's probably the weakest track on here. It's just a pop song that I just didn't like. Whitefall. This features Steve Perry. It's not bad. It's a nice song. Quite like that. Something to Believe In. This is with Bruce Hornsby. Again, a nice song. Nothing wrong with it. Live and Learn. Very poppy. Not a great fan of that one. Many Roads. It's okay. It's got a nice little saxophone solo on it. And then we get the title track, Sirius. Probably the best on the album. It's got an incredible guitar at the start. Simply with the best track on a pretty mediocre album. This one is very poppy for me, very commercially sounding. It just doesn't ring bell to what I love about this band, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 3 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 15 is an album from 1989, and it's called The Angel and the Soldier Boy. So it's a 13th album. It's a soundtrack to an animated movie of the same name, and contains both music of the music and the narration by actor Tom Conti. The animation is based on an award-winning children's book by Peter Collington. So you've got Kieran, Moira, Paul and Podrick doing the music. So it's split into two. First you get all the music from the soundtrack, and it's sort of all in one piece. It's got some lovely pieces in it. It's got a lovely vocal from Moira and some gentle sounds. It's got some vibraphones on it. It's just very ambient music. Then the second part is the story. Excellent narration from Tom Conti. A great voice. It's a really nice story. But don't get me wrong, this is very good. But it's one of them sort of albums you really have to concentrate. You can't just put it on and listen to it. But it's one that I wouldn't play much. But I do like it. Don't get me wrong. But it's just a bit different. But so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, then coming in at number 14. An album that was released in 1998, and it's called Landmarks, and then it got remastered in 2005. Right, this is where we start having to concentrate on what we're saying. The first track is an album. There's a song called Angleen, which I think the English translation is The Valley. It's okay. It's got some nice Celtic sounds. I think the drumming is a little bit too modern to fit in with the rest of the sound. Then we get a track called Fado, which means long ago. My favourite track on this album is lovely sort of Celtic sound. This is a track that, you know, goes back to their roots. It's really good. Next track is a track called Ar Murin O. It's a traditional sort of sounding Gaelic song with a modern twist on the percussion. It's quite good. Of This Land, this is a lovely ambient track with some nice harmony vocals, lovely acoustic guitar, very good. Court to Love, another nice song, very modern sound percussion, but it works, it's not too bad. Then we have a Golden Ball. I just love that Celtic feel to this. I just love the talking in the song. It really gives it some ambience. Really good. Bridge of Tears comes next. I love the singing in this. It's one of the gentler tracks. Some nice ambience and atmosphere on it. A very, very good track. Autumn Leaves Are Falling. It's got some saxophone. It just doesn't fit in. Some of the tracks, the saxophone works, but on this one it just didn't for me. Then we get a track called Let Me See. Don't mind this track, pretty good. Then we got a track called Loch Naka. One of my favourite tracks. It's just got some lovely pipes on it, some gentle guitar. You can just see the mist upon the loch. If you've seen mist on lochs, it's wonderful, really eerie. That was the last track. Some good stuff on this one. But there are sometimes when they go these modern touches to sort of make themselves relevant, it sort of goes off kilter. But there's a lot of that traditional sound on this one, so I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 5.6. Okay, then coming in at number 13, we've got the 11th album here, released in 1989. It's another soundtrack they did, and it's called Atlantic Realm, sorry. This was done for BBC documentary and the natural world about the Atlantic Ocean. So the first track is called Atlantic Realm. Lovely ambience, some nice sounds on this, pretty good. Predator, it's okay. It just got there's a Predator. I never saw the series, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure it was a piece written for that exact bit of that filming. Moving Through is next, ambient sounds. Then we get a short thing called The Berbers. Okay, it's okay. I've got no problem with it. Signs of Life, my favourite piece. It's got some narration on it. It's really good. In Flight, nice mixture of guitars and ambient keyboards. Ocean of Light, very rich ambient sound, nice textures on keyboards. I like that. Drifting, some lovely harmonies in this. Under Neptune's Cape is next. Lots of sound effects on this. So okay, Voyager, lovely textures on the keyboard. It gives you that feel of the ocean. Primeval Sun, very Clannad this is. Moya's lovely dulcet tones, a little bit of keyboard. Children of the Sea, we've got a little bit of saxophone thrown in there. It's okay. And then we got the Kirk Pride. This is very eerie. It's the last track. As it's a soundtrack, it's hard to listen to when you don't know what it was accompanying on the thing, but it's not a bad listen, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 12 from 1990, and it's an album called Anam. Now this is where I've got to see if I can get it right. Let's find the album. Here we go. I'm not going to even try and pronounce the Gaelic title. So the English version is King of the Universe. Now I love this. I love the Celtic drum in this. The vocals are wonderful. It's very daunting and atmospheric. Very good track. Then we have the title track Anam, which is Irish for soul. It's a lovely piece of music, some lovely harp on this. Now Moya can play the harp. She's very good at it. It's a lovely, gentle track. In Fortune's Hand, got some saxophone on, and this actually works on this track. And the percussion is really good on that. The Poison Glen, fantastic vocal from Moya. Some great acoustic guitar on this as well. Absolutely killer track. Then we get this little instrumental called Wilderness. It's my favourite track from this album. You get this lovely acoustic guitar and the harp playing in harmony. It's very, very good. Why Worry? That's okay. It's got some saxophone on it. It isn't too bad. Now this one it's a traditional song, so it's an old folk song sung in Gaelic, and its interpretation is New Grange. I'm not going to even attempt the Gaelic, but it's very good. It's sung in Gaelic, which gives it an extra edge. It's just wonderful, you know. I've heard Gaelic being sang live. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful language, but a tongue tied to get the words. Then we get Love and Affection, very commercial sounding, but it's not a bad song. You're the One. It's got a bit of blues in this on the guitar, and it's a lovely vocal from Moya as ever. Then we get an instrumental, Dabha, which is translated as water. It's one of the words I don't mind saying. It's lovely piano work here by Kieran. Really good. Quite a good album. It's got some very traditional sort of sounds on it, and a really good listen. Very ambient again. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.2. Okay then, coming in at number 11 from 1993, and the album is called Banba. Again, I'm not going to even attempt to tell you how this is in Gaelic, but at least I've got the English translation with me, and this is called The Days Were. It's got some lovely harmonies. The thing about this band, they all could sing. And when they all sing together, you've got so many different octaves. It's just so wonderful. And I love this song. Wonderful. Then we get Banba Oya. I think that's what it is. And it means golden Banba. It's okay till the saxophone comes and then it ruins it. I'm going to admit I don't like the saxophone very much on this Celtic. It's not a Celtic. It doesn't fit in with Celtic music, in my opinion. I know there might be people out there that think it does, but in my opinion, saxophones are for jazz and prog, not Celtic music. They're for you. I like the drums in this. It's a different thing, and it's the saxophone's in this, but it's not too bad. Mystery Game, good little track here. A lovely vocal from Moya. Can listen to her voice all day, just like her little sisters. Then we get a track called Struggle. It's very upbeat. It's got that ambience that you get in Kate Bush songs, and how she puts the songs together. It's a really good song. Now, then we got a track that I really do like. And it's one I really know, and it's my favourite on this, and it's called I Will Find You. But it was actually the film from the 1992 film The Last of the Mohicans. It's a great song, and it fits in with that movie. It's a great movie, and I love that track to bits. Soul Searcher comes next. Nice song. Again, a gentle bit of saxophone that really works on that one. Okay, it's time for one of those that I'm going to give you the English translation, and it's called Who's That? Who's That For That One? That's its thing. It's another sort of traditional sounding song with some lovely gentle harp on it. The Other Side. Now this is very what I call radio friendly, but it's actually good. It's catchy. It's got some nice guitar work on, and it works. It's a very, very good song. Sunset Dreams. The guitars are great on here. Just a lovely little track. Then we get an instrumental called A Gentle Place, and it is a gentle song. Some lovely Eulalian pipe, and it's very good. Very solid album this is, with some modern sounding tracks that actually work, mixed in with the traditionals. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 10, we got a 1985, and it's an album called Macalla, which is Irish for echo, and it's their 9th album. And this features Bono from U2. First track is called what is it called? Golden Castle, or Castlean Ore, something like that. Wonderful track. Now this was used in the TV series Robin of Sherwood, I think it's in the third series they use this bit of music. It's got that sort of ambient sound of that time. It's really, really good. It's my favourite track on here. Then we get the Wild Cry. Great track. Love the vocals. The drums are really good in this. It's got that real Celtic feel to it. Closer to Your Heart. Quirky little track with some nice guitar work in that one. Very good track. Then we get the duo from Moya and Bono, In a Lifetime. I like this track. They complement each other's voices. It's not a bad track. Almost Seems, and in brackets, Too Late to Turn. We've got a vocal from Kieran on this, and it works. It's very, very good. He's a good little singer as well. Then we get a thing called Indoor. Shocking track. Cheesy 80 keyboards. What were they thinking? Then we have a track called Shepherd from the Urn. It's a traditional song. It's a lovely song. I've heard this quite a few times. I'm not going to even say what shepherd is in Gaelic, but it's quite a mouthful. Then we get Black Stairs, a little quirky little song. Then we get Journey's End, nice little folk song here. Nice keyboards giving it that nice feel to it. Drums sound good. Northern Skyline comes next. Very modern sort of track with some lovely harpsichord on this. Very, very good. A mixed bag album again. Got some really good stuff. It's a mid 80s album. 2 suspect tracks on it, but the ones that are good are very, very good. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.8. Okay, coming in at number 9. This is the 6th album from 1982, and it's Fuaim, which is Irish for sound, and it's the last Clannad album that featured younger sister Ethniin, but we know her as Enya. And it's the only album that she's actually credited as a player on it. So we're gonna. The first track is one that's in Gaelic. Just got to find the Gaelic version. Here we go. And the Gaelic, the English translation is The Beautiful Boys. It's a proper little Irish folk song. You can imagine this being played in an Irish pub in the winter on a cold night with a fire in the corner and drinking Guinness and having a very nice time. I do like that track. Next track, again, I'm going to give you the English translation. She enticed me with her voices. And yes, it does. It's got a lovely voice. It's got some lovely harp. And I think Paul is singing on this. It's really good. Next one, excuse me, is called White Rock Bank, because I can't pronounce the Gaelic. It's a very short track with some lovely harp on this from Moya. Very short track, but it's really good. Then we have another track that translates as A Fine Day for the Tootha. Just a short little acoustic bit. It's only about 45 seconds, but it's good. Then we have a track that's called The Apple. I think it's Crann Úll. It's the pronunciation. It's quite nice. It's got some lovely sort of Celtic percussion with a nice acoustic guitar. Straight away, lovely harmonies on this. You can hear Enya and her sister Moya singing. It's really nice. Right, another one that I'm not going to pronounce, so it's called Isn't School Day a Day of Wind? I like that. The saxophone on there is really good. It's got a jazzy feel to it, and it does work, and I quite like that. Then we have a track called Lish Young by a Broom. So this is a very traditional Irish sort of jiggy thing. Some nice acoustic guitar, and it's one of them sing-along songs. The next one is called Morag, the Promised Horror. Thank you, Dave, for putting all these in, because I could never even attempt these. It's a very short little thing. You can hear Enya on this. It's just that them having a bit of a vocal. It's very short. Then we have the Green Fields of Gothdover, my favourite track. It's a lovely vocal from Moya. I'm a sucker for these sort of songs. Then we get a track called A Troubled Marriage. It's got some electric piano in it. It's got mandolins and guitars. It's a very, very good track. Very good album. It's got a mixture of traditional Gaelic songs, some upbeat modern Gaelic songs, and I love listening to this album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 8, go to 1996 now for an album called Law. And the first track on here is, the English translation is Braveheart. It's a very nice ambient song. I like the vocal on this, and I love the percussion. Then we have a track called Shanhas. Really like this. It's got saxophone in it. It's a wonderful piece of saxophone work. Excellent track. Then we get a track called A Bridge, and in brackets, that carries us over. Lots of atmosphere on this. It's very ambient. Wonderful little track. Then we have From Your Heart. This is a lovely ambient Celtic sounding track. You listen to this and you think of the green fields, you think of the hills and the mountains of Ireland. It's a very, very nice track. Then we have a great little track called Alistair Macalla. Now, the first time I heard this was in Ireland in a pub called O'Brady's, which is in a little town in Kildare called Maynooth. It's a very traditional song, and it's very quirky, and I've heard quite a few versions of this, but this is wonderful. It's a lovely, lovely track. It's a foot tapping, clap your hands, sing along track. Very good. Broken Pieces, probably a track that I'm not very keen on, I'm afraid. Then we have a thing called one I'm not going to pronounce. It's called A Little Evening Last Night. Another of my favourite tracks. You've got a little bit of penny whistle on this. It's just a traditional sort of Irish jiggy type thing. Trails of Tears, very ambient. Some nice. It's quite progressive as well. A very catchy tune. Then we have a track called Dilrama Go Dio, which means seemingly forever. My favourite track on there. It reminds me of a certain other track that we'll talk about in a bit. It's just got some wonderful harmonies. Absolutely good. Farewell Love. I like the start of this. It's quite a moving start with some real nice guitar on it. March tune. Moira's harp on this is lovely. It's a really nice gentle track to end this album. Another solid album. It has got some really good tracks on. One of the better ones of this period. It's a really good listen again. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.1. Okay, then coming in at number 7. This is the last album they put out from 2013, and it's called Nádúr, which is Irish for nature, and it was also the last album that Podrick appeared on before he died. So the first track on here is called Vellum. Very ambient, wonderful backing vocals on this. Atmospheric, really good track. Then we have a track called Rhapsody of Trees. Very nice folk song. I just love, again, the sound, the ambience. Really relaxing music. Then we have Transatlantic, my favourite track on here because it's got wonderful Irish whistle sounds, lovely vocal as well. Then we have a traditional Gaelic song, which translates as A Trip for Me to the Lowlands, and they're singing in Gaelic again, so it gives it more atmosphere. Absolutely stunning track. Then we have a track called Bravenut. This is a fusion of modern and traditional Gaelic music, and it works well. I do like this track. It starts off very it's a progression. It starts off very traditional and it works into this sort of modern sound. Absolutely killer track. Then we have the Fishing Blues. This is a very traditional fisherman's song. I love tracks like this. It's telling the story of a fisherman. Really good. I do like it. Okay, next up is a track that translates as Hand in Hand. When you hear this, you think of the green fields of Ireland and the sea. Reminds me of some of the lovely places I've been lucky enough to visit in Ireland. And the highlight of this track is just the ambience. There's just something about it. Next track. This one translates as The Fountain of Life. It's got some Irish drums on here, Irish whistles, just got all them traditional sort of Irish sounding instruments. Wonderful. The song is In Your Heart. Some lovely harp playing here for Moya. Wonderful track. A Quiet Town. It's got a mixture of modern tradition again. This reminds me of a song, this is the way it's sang, of another Irish singer called Mary Black. It's the sort of thing she does. It's a lovely track. Him to Love Her, ambient, atmospheric, very gentle vocal from Moya. Santana, lovely percussion on this. It's delicate bits. It's quite poppy, but it's got some really traditional pieces in it. And then we got Society Cities, another of them great Irish Gaelic songs. Love listening to these. I think this was a great album for the band to bow out on, actually. It's very traditional with a modern twist. Not a bad track on this album at all. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay then. Coming in at number 6. Now we've reached the stage where these to me are the essential Clannad albums. So coming in at number 6 is their debut album, released in 1973, and it's just called Clannad. I have to apologise for that. So obviously a lot of Gaelic titles on this. So the first one is translated as It's Not a Day, It's Not Your Day, It's Not Your Day. A great little Irish folk track, sung in Gaelic, and I think it does add to the atmosphere. Absolutely wonderful. Next track it translates as Below the Sun Beach. Again, it's a look of sea shanty feel to it. Very nice harmonies. Really good. Then we get Brian Burroughs March. Very traditional Irish song. It's all Irish folk instruments and it sounds great. Next track. Oh, this is a mixture. It's Jubilant. Need of her. I do apologise. It's a really good track. It's very progressive rock with some nice drumming and bass in it. Really like that. But next track is a very short track and it translates as The Mermaid. Some nice little guitars in this. A great vocal from Moya. I like this song a lot. Then we have a track called Eliza. Quite rocky for Clannad, but it's very good. I like it. It's got some good guitar in it. Next one, it translates as The New Island. This is another track with Paul singing on it. It's got a bit of harp, some Irish drums. Mrs. McDermott. Certainly got, what would I call it? It's very medieval sort of thing, bit Renaissance-y. I like the track. The guitar work is good on it. Then we get The Pretty Maid. Lovely vocal from Moya on this. Good track. Next up is a track translated as The Park. Harmonies on this are wonderful. Got some flute and acoustic guitar, and that's all it is. Harvest Home. It's a very short track with some nice mandolin on it. And then the last track is Morning Dew. Lovely flute on this. Sounds gentle and ambient. A very good album. Very Irish folk. Love listening to this. Certainly a Sunday morning album for me. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 5 is the second album. Clannad 2, released in 1974. First track on here translates as The White Goat. All them sort of elements of Irish music in here. Guitars, penny whistles, great vocals. Very, very good. Then we have a track called Eleanor Plunkett. Played on a mandolin lute sort of instrument. That's very, very good. Again, it's very, very traditional sounding. And then we got a track that translates as Autumn Greenery. Short, got some sharp guitar on this. Really well put together. Lovely ambient track again. Right, next one up. It translates as Philip's Dance to Music. Very short. Some lovely mandolin. The singing's great on here. You've got Moya sort of taking the lead, and the guys with their deep and nice harmonies. It's well balanced. By Chance It Was, a longer track that's got so much mood and atmosphere. Some great vocals on this. Then we get my favourite track on here, and it just translates as British Dance. It's got the Irish drums and the whistles. Just one of them typically Irish songs. Absolutely wonderful. Next track translates as I Would Play. Love the start of this. Lovely vocals again. It's just so ambient. Next track is called Tones Bar Wind. That's what it translates as. Wonderful. Very traditional Irish sound. Then we have He Will Go Home. It's just a typical Irish jig here. A great bass line. Very catchy. Very foot tapping. Just love that track. Fairly shot of her. Great combination here of acoustic guitars. Moya's vocals are great. Then the next track is called I Went to Roseanne. Nice gentle track. It's got an interesting bass line. The acoustic guitar is pretty good as well, and they've got a lovely vocal from Moya. It's just another great album. Every track on here is great, so gentle. I just love this sort of music. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. Something's fallen down, I'm not quite sure which one. Okay, coming in at number 4 is a soundtrack album called Legend, and it was for a great TV series called Robin of Sherwood, and it's their 8th album. So the first track on here is called Robin, the Hooded Man. I love this. I remember this TV series. The music was so... That's 2. See how many fall down between now and the end. It's just a wonderful piece of music set for that time of when Robin Hood was there. Great little track. Then we get Now He's Here. Wonderful again. It's ambient. It's got that medieval feel to it. Then we have a track called Hern. This is my favourite track on here. There's so many good elements about the percussion is great. The flutes and the spoken word, fantastic. Together We, another great song. That, I mean, it's set in the 11th, 12th, 11th century, and it's got that sort of music you expect from this period of time. It's just what a great idea using Clannad. Absolutely brilliant track. Then we have a track called Dartmere, some lovely keyboards and guitars in this. Then we get Strange Land, probably my second favourite track on here. Just so many fond memories of this series with that track. Scarlet Inside. This one doesn't really fit. It's too modern. It's what I mean by modern, it doesn't fit the period time that this is set. Lady Marian, absolutely wonderful. So fits 12th century England. Really, really good. Then we get this short little thing called Battles. Dramatic. Love the drums in this. Ancient Forest. It just sets the perfect of Sherwood Forest. Perfectly fits. I love this album. I love the TV series. I love the music. I loved how they interpreted that medieval sound into their own sound. Just a great album. I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.7. Well, we're getting close to the top now. Top 3. Very hard this was, because these are just absolutely brilliant albums. So coming in at number 3, we have the third album from 1976, and it's called Dúlamán, which is Irish for seaweed. So the opening track is Dúlamán. Great vocal on this. The instruments are great. You've got little bits of drum, acoustic guitars, a bit of flute. It's just really, really good again. Then we have a song called The Lament of Egon Rua O'Neill. Very traditional sounding track. Lovely. I love Irish whistles and penny whistles. It's just great. Get your feet going and gentle thing there. Then we get a track called Two Sisters. Real quirky folk song with some nice vocals in it. The harmonies are great. Very much like the Seekers, this is. That's what I like about it. It's got that real Seekers feel to it. Then we have a track that translates as Wake Up My Love. It's a good song, but because of the pace it is, there's a nice gentle pace. It goes on a little bit too long, but it's still a really good track. Then we get my favourite track. It's called The Galty Hunt. My favourite track it's a little jig. I love the flute on this, it's wonderful. Now I just searched the word Galty with bacon and black pudding. Galty bacon and Galty sausages. some of the best you'll ever taste. Anyway, let's get back to the music. Now this is this is how it's translated. Get up and put your clothes and put on your clothes. Lovely textures on here. The guitars are good, some ambient keyboardy sounds, some lovely harmonies. And then we get a track called Walks to Secrets, that's how it's pronounced in the translated. Very moody, dark track this is. Atmospheric, eeriness, some lovely ambient sound on it. Then a track that is called My Mary. Another jig. Guinness. Love the vocal on this. Then we have a lovely sort of track, it's called Come to Dance. And it's just vocals, no instruments. Just shows how good these Clannad were at singing. Absolutely moving and atmospheric. Love these sort of, it's more like a Gregorian chant sort of thing. And the last track is called Kukandi, the Jug of Brown Ale. Again, it's very jiggy, flutes, penny whistles, Irish drums, lovely guitar. Absolutely killer track. You just can't go wrong with albums like this, full of traditional Irish music and instruments. One of the great albums by Clannad, full of great Irish music, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Number 2. This is from 1983, and it's the 7th album, and it's called Magical Ring. This opens up with my favourite track by Clannad by a long way. It was a theme from a film. The theme is called Harry's Game. It's a very dark film, but a great film. I just love Moya's vocals in this. It's just fits, and if you've seen the film, you know what I mean. It's absolutely wonderful. It makes the hairs on my back stand up. It really is. I remember buying this as a single because I just thought it was wonderful. Next track is called Tower Hill. Bit different. Got the chaps of the band singing on this, and it is pretty good. Makes a change. I mean, they can all sing, so why not? Then we got a traditional song, and I'm just trying to find the translation. There we go, found it. The translation is Carn Úll Distraction. It's an actual traditional track. It's got some accordion in this. Very sea shanty track again. Quite like that. Passing Time, it's one of these tracks that's got more modern beats with it, with the traditional origins. Very, very good. Then we get a track called Autumn Greenery. Again, it's another traditional song. Second favourite track on here. There's some great bass lines, some great vocals. I love this. I See Red, it's a modern track, but it's got some lovely mandolin and whistling in it. Very, very good. Then we have a track called Below the Coast. It's my favourite vocal, one of my favourite vocals from Moya. I just think it's very, very good. A great album. A mixture of the old and new again. It's got my favourite track by Clannad on it. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2. So, my favourite album. It's the 5th album from 1980. And it was the first album that featured their younger sister Ethne, later known as Enya, and it is called Crann Úll, which is apple tree in Irish. First track, pronounced as, I'm not going to say the Gaelic, but it's Arrested in Ox Bay. Now this is a wonderful track sung in Gaelic. It hooks you in. I don't understand what they're singing about, but just the way it's delivered, you're hooked. The Last Rose of Summer. This could have been written back in the 12th, 13th century. It's so simple, but a lovely track. It's so medieval sort of thing, if you want to call it. It's really good. Next track just translates as Full Jug. It's a very simple track with guitar, mandolins and a little bit of keyboard and a wonderful vocal. We got both Enya and Moya. It's a wonderful track. Then we have another track that I got, is called Blind Adine. Love this. Again, the singing on this is absolutely fantastic. That Irish drum in the background gives it that little ambience. Next one, translated as A Strange Day in the Countryside. You could have imagined this song being played at the court of Henry VIII. Very Renaissance sort of track. Some beautiful harmonies on this. Then we've got the title track, Crann Úll, or Crann Úll. It's one of my favourite vocals, probably the best vocal from Moya. She's got a great voice, absolutely stunning track. Then we get a track called Gathering Mushrooms. Now, this is the only song that the lead vocals are done by both Moya and Enya. Absolutely wonderful. You've got, they're both sort of got this high-end vocal range. It's just wonderful to hear them singing together. Our next track, translated as The Yellow Drop. Just very simple. Guitars and keyboards and a vocal. You don't need much more. It's just a beautiful track. And then we have a track called Plan XD Brown, the last track. My favourite track on this album. It's relaxing. It's got ambience. It's got penny whistles. It's got everything that you sort of associate with Irish music, and it's so relaxing. What a track to end the album. Okay, this is my favourite Clannad album because it's probably the last of the pure folk albums. It's got some lovely singing on it. It's a proper chill out album, and it's one I love playing on the headphones. And the other thing is you've got both Moya and Enya singing on it a lot. Absolutely stunning stuff. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. So there we go. There's a bit of Clannad, a bit of Irish music today. I think I did all right. I tried to pronounce words right. Sorry if I kept flicking across screens. It looks like I'm but I wanted to get this right because I don't want to offend anybody, because you know I love Ireland and I've got plenty of Irish friends. So hope you've enjoyed this. That's all for today, but we'll be back tomorrow, and we've got a great battle of the debuts tomorrow. Probably the two biggest names in power metal, symphonic metal, one being Nightwish and the other being Evanescence. And tomorrow, what have we got? We've got a pick and mix, and we're going to take a wander down the sidewalk. So we'll be looking at the US Top 10 from the 24th of August 1984. So have a great day everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye. bye for now.